Probably got time for a short game, guys. I'm only going to be on for another 20 minutes or so. Um,
Somebody send an 18 man.
hmm.
Or shit, do a small game. Do like a 6 max or a 9 man. I don't care what it is.
Yeah, we've got a 9-man from WangDang. We'll do that one. Everyone else, I'm sorry, guys, but I don't have time to do another 180 man. So I'm
It's because
doing
I talked to
Wangman, WangDang's 9. No, it's really cool. It's a cool discussion. I liked it. So 91 hands. Just a 9-man turbo. So much different. I mean, it's slightly different general structure where the game's going to play much tighter, although you can still defend a lot and um, play a lot of blinds, getting odds, but the bubble factor is evident from hand one because top four get paid. You always have to think about,
Right.
reaching that bubble with a decent stack. In a 180 man, it's just chip EV for most of the tournament until you make top final table.
Still opening the
And
button 50%.
oh yeah, of course, you're still in a 9-man
Still
turbo.
open wide. You take it down some because
Yeah.
ICM,
Folded to you
but
in late position, you still play a lot of hands. And in the big blind, you still can play a lot of hands. And you can
like,
still, 3-bet
just
in the
look at how
right
much is in the middle.
situations.
Like look how
Yeah.
much is in the middle pre. Like it's
Yeah. The
just
antes just
there's
make
a
a big
whole there's a
difference.
more than a big blind in the middle already. You just can't go around with that.
Yeah.
Can't get away with that.
Now, I think it is kind of relevant to just talk about micro strategies because a lot of people that maybe are watching are new players and they might not know how to play hands perfectly, and you
Hmm.
can get into a lot of trouble if you're a new player and you hit like second pair, weak kicker, playing loose ranges. So I would say
Sure.
to you guys in general, if you're a new player, like the things that we're talking about here, you can make profit doing that, but if you are new and you're playing too many hands and you're making more mistakes, it's better for you to be tighter than what we're suggesting because you want to prevent yourself from making those really big errors rather than going for those small EV gains.
I
And
used to
once you
say
get,
the same thing. I used to say the same thing, but when I was doing heads up coaching and I had him look at some of my six max games as well, and he said I said, man, I don't know about opening this wide because or defending this wide because I'm just going to be in so many marginal spots. He's like tough noogies. He's like that's how you get better. You get better because you get used to being uncomfortable. If you stay tight, yeah, your hands are easier to play, but you're losing money. And if you open up, you'll be rough for a little while, but you'll get used to it really quickly. You'll
yeah,
get
I mean,
used to
I'm
playing
talking about
wider
guys that
really.
have been playing poker for, 3 months, not for you and me who've been playing for 6 years.
Sure,
If
no, I understand. I
If I
understand.
was, yeah, obviously that guy looking at your heads up history, you're a pro. So if I was to tell you, if you're a nit, like, yeah, man up, learn, like you've been playing poker for 6 years. But I'm talking about to the guys that are in chat that are like, this is their first poker stream. They only just learnt what a top pair is. They don't want to go start playing 70%
Sure,
of
no,
hands in the
no, no,
big
no. I
blind because
feel
they're
you.
gonna spew off their entire bankroll in a week. So be careful, guys.
All right. Well,
Sandman's a bit of
disclaimer:
a
don't
spewtard.
spew off your whole bankroll and then come into my stream and start talking
Like,
shit to me
Sandman, you told me to play
about.
70% on the button, dude. I did it, and I lost every hand. I don't know what I'm doing. That's what they're gonna do. Go to him, not me. It's not my fault. I told you to be
The,
tight.
the sick thing about it is though a lot of them are profit opens, like you don't even have to do anything post flop, like it's an
Yeah,
auto
yeah.
profit open.
But, like, it
um
still can be bad. Let's say that,
or
like,
yeah, if you just get third pair and just
7-2
like
suited's on
barrel it
auto
in.
profit open on the button, but you're the kind of player that you hit bottom pair and you just go bet, bet, shove. Like, you're losing a ton of money in that spot, So, you gotta
uh
first thing,
yeah,
guys,
look,
learn
look
how to
at
play basics, and then when you get
people are
to
already saying this is my secret agenda. It's just
exactly.
it's,
So like
it's just to
I would
make
play
people's.
I would definitely play this hand and I would say to everyone you can play this, but like there's two ways of playing it. You can ISO and try and get heads up with this limper, or you can just limp behind. I would normally limp behind because I like playing this hand multi-way.
I would
What
normally
what would
limp
you do
behind as
here?
well.
You
I would
limp
limp
behind?
behind.
Yeah, yeah.
If I was in later position, I would for sure ISO. If I was on the
Yeah.
cutoff or even the hijack, I would ISO. But I think limp behind early position is going to be fine as long as I'm in the hand.
Yeah,
Being in
yeah,
the
as
hand
long
with
as you're
that
in the
much
hand.
money in the middle is solid.
So this hand we're in the big blind free play against limpers. It goes check check check. I like we have some equity here, but it's not very good equity. You know, you only have gut shot equity. I don't think your 10 or 9 outs are good all the time because sometimes, um,
I just don't think we're getting any faults here if we make a
yeah,
stab.
I just give it up.
I think you run into a boat ton of Jack X.
Yeah, exactly.
Or 2-3 suited. I mean, that's
That hand as well. All right. So this is an open, 100%. Like
for
if I
sure.
were
If
to,
it
like
folds,
any
you
two suited
cannot
cards you can
fold this.
open. Yeah.
Yeah.
Against a limper, I mean, I'd still like. I'd feel like
Part of me
ISO.
wants to be in, but Queen 3 suited is pretty garbage.
Yeah, yeah.
Versus someone with interest in the pot.
I'm sure quads would open this one.
You
He'd
mean if
probably
there was no limper?
No, he'd probably ISO. I mean, or he'd think about it at least, maybe.
He's been bitching at me to be in more pots for sure, but I don't know how far that goes. He doesn't tell me everything.
Yeah, so low
Yep,
stakes,
I like this.
low stakes. This hand you can bet, bet, bet. But if this is like a
Right,
$200 game, you don't have to bet, bet, bet. You can just check back here.
right.
So low stakes, like top pair, top picker is the immortal
Just
nuts.
go with it. Yeah.
As you see, like guys call with 2-3 suited and ace 8, so you can get sick value with top pair, top picker.
So what's the open in the first blind levels? Still 2x. That's actually in debate.
Yeah.
Because I can make an argument both ways. Here's the argument for like a min raise, and I see some regs min raising. Guys don't defend enough. Boom, right there. If they're not defending enough, why do I need to open 3x when I can min raise? Other side of it. I can't leverage stacks as well and get all the money in the middle versus bad players if I'm only making it 2x.
That's true.
So also, if regs like you still need to defend a decent amount versus a 2.5 and a 3x. Not as much as a min raise, but when I min raise, I almost force regs to consider defending more because
Yeah.
it's like they just feel like they can
And that's
call a
not what
min
you want
raise.
to do, yeah.
I don't want them to be aware
Yeah.
that they are supposed to defend. I want them to just be oblivious and keep folding too much. So
Yeah.
my actual standard is 2.5.
Two and a half, yeah, I agree with you.
Right.
Like two
I
and a
think
half.
that's a right in the middle ground. I can still bet big on flops and turns and get it in on the river, but I'm not encouraging regs to defend, and they still need to be defending decently wide, and they probably
Yeah.
don't know what they need to defend versus a 2.5.
It just feels
So I
like a
think
perfect medium.
it's just
you know?
it's the perfect middle ground. And I even opened 2.5 up to 2550, which 2550 is basically the same stack size as it would be in a 6-max hyper, like 26, 27 big blinds, and there we
Yeah.
were always min raising.
See, I
But
like
I really
2.25 at that level.
Right, and that may be the good compromise that I'm missing out on. I'm just really afraid of giving people the notion that they want a flat. But I can't say it. And I've talked about it with quads, and like he's like, I don't know. I mean, he's like, in theory they could be correct. My buddy Dunk, he likes to open a staggered range. So he opens a staggered sizing. So he opens 3, sometimes even 3.5x under the gun, 2.5x middle position, and min raise on the button.
Well, yeah, I do that as well.
Right, I don't.
It
I just
depends
go
on the
2.5 the whole
opponents.
way.
Yeah, no,
I just go
I
2.5.
definitely have like a varied sizing depending on the table and on position and on opponents and blind
Right.
level and stack size. So like 20 big, even if it's blind level 50 and somehow I lost a hand and I have 20 big blinds, I'm not going to make it 2.5. I'll just make it a min raise because I have 20 big
Right.
blinds. But and like
Yeah, it
on the
definitely
button,
depends
I'm
on
just
your
going to
stack
min
size,
raise.
obviously.
But under the gun, I'll make it 2.5, and then middle position, I'll make it 2.25. You know, like so you can make arguments for a lot of different sizings. Anyway, so hero calls
Anything more than
25 getting
3x is
9 to
terrible.
1.
And anything more than 3x is terrible.
Well, there are
And,
situations where you can
I
make it
can't
good.
even say that. Well, I said that, but like at T20, it's not bad. But
Yeah,
if you're 4xing at T50, you've got some issues.
that's true. Although there are some tables where that can be the best play. Again, like we're talking 15s here, where if you're on a table with a bunch of guys that have 50% VPIP, you can 4x on the button with Ace King and make hella profit.
Sure.
But you know, most of the time it's not going to be good. Yeah. Anyway, so we call small blind 25 chips getting 9 to 1 with any two cards. Like I think you can make a argument for any two cards here, getting 9 to 1.
I think I even find a fold sometimes.
Well,
I
yeah, like
probably
you can
shouldn't.
go both ways.
Probably shouldn't, but
If you're
you know.
if you're a good player, I think you should be calling more because again, you want to be in pots
Sure.
against bad people. So
Right.
even like
exactly.
this, if it goes check, 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 you can easily win with this kind of hand.
Right.
Um, with a weak second pair. But if
One
you're
of the, one of the,
yeah,
go
go
ahead.
on.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say like if you're a weaker player, I wouldn't want to play as
Right.
weaker ranges like this because you're out of
I,
position and it's gonna be hard to play.
I'll say that if you're not really sure how to play spots like this, where you just a bunch of people limped and you checked in the big blind or you completed in the small blind, here's one of the very first rules I learned about playing when I was first learning poker. Don't go broke in an unraised pot. Don't
Yeah.
go broke in an unraised pot. And the first rule that I ever had enacted on me by a coach was if it checks around to you and you're in the big blind or you complete in the small blind, you're not putting any money in post
Two pair or
flop
better, right?
without two pair.
Yeah, I'll
Did
learn
you
that
know
one
that?
too. It's old
Right.
school, man. It's like
It's
2008
old,
poker.
yeah, right. But it keeps you from doing dumb shit,
Yeah.
And once you get more confident in what you're doing, you can break that rule. I mean, I certainly break that rule. But in the beginning, if it's not a raised pot and you don't have two pair, just sayonara.
Just give it up. Like here, that's perfect.
Yeah, don't even bother.
Everyone would do this against a bet and a call. You'd always just check fold, but yeah.
Right.
Good. Let's move on. So three betting the ace king. Sizing is, interesting.
Wait.
It's,
What's his sizing?
It's this guy opens to 110. We three bet to 200, so less than 2x.
Oh my lord.
It's pretty small.
Oh, this needs to be like 260.
Yeah, 250, 260. I like that.
Right.
Because
it's correct for him, obviously, to call with every single
anything.
hand that he raised.
Yeah. Now we're kind of fucked
And that's not
because
what you want.
I was just talking about a hand like this that I had before you came on Skype on my 18-man history that I was doing. We're in a spot here where if we bet any decent size, we're going to be committed against his range no matter what.
Right,
So let's say we
right,
bet
so true.
200 and he check jams the 860. The pot will be like 1480 and we have to call another 660. So you're getting more than 2 to 1 no matter what if you see bet.
Right.
And given
But
you
when
have
you
ace
do
king
that,
high,
you're basically,
he can
yeah.
have like queen 10, queen jack, king queen, like random draws, overcards. Like no matter what, if you bet you're going broke, that you might as well just jam it in and get him to fold equity. So
Right, because the thing here is if you bet and you have to call, like yes, you're manufacturing the odds that you have to call, but it's basically sunk cost fallacy where I'm basically throwing good money in after bad.
exactly.
And it's not something you want to base your game around. You don't want to make false odds for yourself unless you have a purpose behind it.
Yeah. Like even though you have ace king and you kind of want him to get it in with queen 10 and like hands like that you beat. Remember, it is a 9-man sit and go, and if he just folds now, hands that still have 35%, and you win a nice pot of 529, like you're going to be in a really good position a lot of the time. Like let's say a vast majority of the time he just folds those hands, and you have 1700, 1800 chips. You're in a really good position to keep the pressure on. But if you go for that max value and just bet call, and okay, you're going to win, let's say 65%, but 35% he hits his straight or he hits like a random pair against your ace king and you're out, or you have 400 chips and then you're fucked. So
Right.
yeah,
What's
I do
up,
like
Boogs?
just I just
Boogs,
jam here
Boogs.
is what the conclusion is. What would you do?
I wouldn't be in this position because I would have
Because
made
yeah,
it
you
like
3-bet more
I
pre-flop
would have
and
made
then
it like 260 pre.
yeah, you'd have one
but
pot
since
size
we're
bet
here,
left.
since we're here, I mean, I like jam. I mean, jamming I think is definitely. I mean, even if he calls with a pair, like even if he calls with like tens here, like how. That's not terrible. I mean, it's not. We're not excited. I'm not jumping up and down, but I mean, if he has like aces or some shit, well then we're just But then we're just fucked anyway. So
Yeah.
no, I like jamming. I think jamming is definitely the best play there. I probably don't do it enough actually, but then again, I make bigger sizing. So
Okay, so now
wait, what happened? Oh, don't tell me he did it again.
no, he just rips it in for.
Oh,
I mean, I would
I can't
still.
say I hate it. I can't say I hate it just because
Yeah.
versus raising a call in these games, one of those dudes is calling. One of those
Yeah.
dudes is calling, and this guy has 800 chips. And it's also quite possible that if we cram here, the guy with the short stack just calls because he's the short stack, and then
Yeah.
the other guy calls.
See, the
So
I
I mean,
kind
I
of
can
feel
see the
like
merits of
three betting
raising.
small because we just three bet small last hand. It looks like we're just putting the
Right.
moves on.
I
That's the
could
only
I could
reason
see
I
doing
would
either
like it
one.
in this particular spot because we three bet small like the exact two hands ago. Um, but yeah, I think standard is to just jam here because normally if you small three bet here and make it 300, it looks really strong.
Right.
And this is definitely the weaker looking play,
I'm a
which will
jam
get
fiend.
more calls from a weaker range.
And
But
I had
like,
a lot of these hands on my stream today where it's like a lot of them were like post flop spots where I would just like bet flop and then I would have a massive bet on the turn with like the nuts where I had like a set or like top two or straight
mm,
or flush and the guy the guy checked raised me on the flop and I was just like I mean I could probably just jam this flop like how many people are
yeah,
check raising
because
me
the
as a
pots are
bluff here
so
like
big.
people
Yeah.
just call they just always call when you shove even if you've got like the nuts and they can't have anything at all they just can't seem to find a fold after they raise you.
Don't bluff in the
So
micros, dude. That's what I tell my stream. Don't bluff the
yeah,
micros.
man,
They never fold.
don't. Mm-mm.
Alright, so here, like, it's is a good defend, but it's a 3x. I don't know if we can defend this wide against that
I think it's a
3x.
fold. I think it's a
You,
fold.
yeah, against the
I would
3x.
defend. I would defend about 45% here, and 5-4 suited is.
Not in there.
I
Yep.
mean, it's.
Pan or flush draw, we
Although
definitely check
again,
raising.
I do like to see people defending too wide as opposed to not wide enough.
Mm.
That's
Yeah, if you're gonna make a mistake, defending too wide is probably a better mistake to make than being too tight. If you're
yeah,
at all
yeah,
competent playing post flop
sure,
and
for
poker.
sure.
Yeah, so with this kind of
Um,
hand where like your equity now is really good. If you get it in now, you're never too far behind.
yeah, I
But
just probably just cram
yeah,
to
I
be
just
honest.
check. Yeah, I just
There's
jam it in
700 in the
or
middle. I got what? He's got 1500 behind. Like,
yep. Like I don't mind the small check raise, but as long as you definitely put in the check raise, I don't think it really matters whether you check raise to 960 or just check shovel in. Because no matter what, it's all going in on the turn anyway, even if he just calls.
better for the
Um,
red line now, though. If you have to get it on the turn and he has you beat and you missed one of your draws, then you're getting it in with a pair of fours and
yeah,
a red
that's
line.
true. That red line. So I
You
would
know, how
definitely
much?
play this. Like I said, I'm playing 100% here. I just
Right,
standard.
definitely.
Yeah, like you said, you can just raise as a standard, or you can limp stab. It really depends on the opponent, but both options are good. But I guess the first choice would be to raise, and if you have a reason to not raise, let's say he's very aggro or he likes defending a lot, then you can limp stab.
Um, funny thing, when Quads had me on Skype, he changed my name on Skype back when like the first couple months we were talking on Skype. He changed my name to Fold Redline because he said that's all I ever talked about was folding or the red line, and so that was my name. Now anytime I called him or talked to him, it didn't have my actual name. It just said Fold Redline. This is a
This is
call.
a fold. Yeah.
Oh wait, we're in a 9-man, aren't we?
Yeah,
God,
it's a
I've
9-man,
been,
yeah.
I've been playing 18s for so long. Like, oh, well that's brutal,
Yeah, I
man.
think
What's
18.
our stack size? Let's go back then. Oh, we got 22. No, we can't shove. Oof. Wow, that's brute. And we're six-handed though.
I mean,
That's not.
it's a 9-man sit and go. People are really nitty, you know. Don't No one's
That's
rejamming you
true.
to exploit you
Nobody's
in these
three-betting
games.
you
They're
here.
not exploiting you. They just have hands.
Nobody's shoving King 10 suited here like they're
No
supposed
way.
to.
Not at these stakes anyway.
I'd still like to run it though. I'd like to see what we could call.
Okay,
Can we pull
sure.
out the?
Let's do it. Yeah,
I
let's
got
do it.
I got Hold'em resources here. And then
Yeah.
can you post the hand history
Yeah,
to me in the chat?
I can send it to you on Skype. Hang on.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's what I mean.
is this the game? That's not the game. Oh shit, the hand history is kind of jumbled. That's gonna be hard to.
Wait, that's the hand history?
Yeah.
What?
I
How does
yeah,
this
because
happen?
it's from an export, I think, from Holder Manager
Oh,
or
uh,
Poker Tracker. I can still maybe get it. 7 of clubs, 7 of
I mean,
diamonds.
I can just put it in as well, like if I have to.
I think I can find it this way.
Stack size in.
Yeah, I got it, I think. If I can find the beginning somehow. We'll just I'm just
What?
guessing.
Oh, did you lose it?
No,
I
I
see
think
the
I
seven
think I've got
seed.
it. Yeah, I've got it. Oh shit.
Did you get it all the way? Did you get it all in though?
No, it's way too hard. Let's just write the stacks in. It's like just as quick.
Yeah, I mean, I got it. I'm ready to go. So where? Now my eyes are bad here. So
I
What's
can
our
move it over
ante?
here for you, and I'll type it in for me for the stream. Can you read it? So it's 2453 is under the gun, but you got to add antes as well. Everyone has a
Anything. Okay,
15
so
chip
I'll do that.
ante. So it's 2453
2468.
plus 15, yeah.
So
Uh,
2468, and then 32, 22.
yeah, that's not right.
No,
It's
32,
32,
32.
yeah,
32, 32.
yeah.
Sorry. My eyes, I can't read these numbers.
1468 plus 15, so it's 1473,
Yeah.
and it's
I mean,
17.
if we're one or two off, it's not really gonna matter.
Yeah, no, it won't. So it's
1701, so that's
2300. So
1716. Okay, and then what's that small blind got there?
he's got 2315. I've already done the math. And
Oh,
that's,
well, let me just look at yours then. 2315. Is that counting? That's counting his blind,
yeah,
right?
that's plus antes and blind, yeah.
What's the big blind there?
2286.
2286. Okay. Now we'll
Alright.
do an advanced hand.
Ah, you gotta do the advanced one, yeah, with the
Yeah.
raise call. Fuck.
It's alright, we're all good. Gonna take just a second. Okay, so so I guess the first thing we need to talk about is what is our opening range?
Yeah.
And Nash has it at 27.8, but again, Nash Hold'em Resources assumes that no one ever flats and they only ever 3-bet you. So that range would be too wide for us to open in this position. I'd say we need to be opening like 20% here.
Yeah, that sounds reasonable.
Maybe 20, 21. So ace-7 off, ace-2 suited, king-8 suited, king-9 suited, and then all the suited broadways, queen-jack, and 4s plus.
Yep.
So that's right bang on 21%. So let's go with
open.
that.
Okay.
And then for the 3-bet range, what's easy from the button, right?
Yeah, it's the button.
It has him 3-betting us 7s, ace-10 suited, ace-10 off, and that's it.
That sounds good to me.
Let's and then we call.
I'm gonna say it's like
Wait.
9.
Holy shit. Hold on.
That's
No.
fine.
I did the. Somehow. Oh, that was my problem. Okay, wait a minute. I didn't put the blinds in, so it still said the blinds were on a hand I did previously, and the blinds were 500 and 1,000. So
Alright,
it basically
that's a
just
mistake.
assumed that everyone was. Assumed that everyone was all in. What's the ante? 15, right? Or no, it was more than that. 6120 and
It was
is 15.
6120 and 15 ante.
Okay. All right, good to go here. All right, ring again. I was like, what? This is kind of a tight 3-bet range. I don't know about that. Okay, so I'm gonna put us back on 21. I like to run at least one hand per stream so people get an idea
Yeah, so you can see what they're doing.
how you do this.
So MP.
64s.
That's not right. I got the blinds wrong. My thing for some reason.
Okay, I'm
There you
almost
go.
there.
That's
All right,
why.
21. And then so the 3-bet from the button should be, in theory, 12.6%. Or no, actually a little bit less.
That
That's if
sounds
we were-
pretty standard. You know, like ace 10, like
right.
we said, ace 10, 7s, and king queen suited, right?
Well, if we're opening only 21%, it's a little bit worse because if we're only opening 21%, it has us only shoving 7s, ace jack suited, king queen suited, and ace jack from the button. But against that range, we still call 6s. So, Bamses. And 7s is
So
pretty
against that
pretty
range, you still
profitable.
call 6s.
Fine. That's a tight 3-bet range too. We
You
call
got the
6s.
9-man
ace
ICM
jacks,
on?
Ace jack.
You got
Yeah.
the 9-man 50-40,
Yeah, 50, 30, 20.
50-30, 20?
Let me check. Let me make sure.
What's
Yeah,
the edge in
ICM.
it?
I mean, There's no edge, but oh, you mean like what's
Like
the
the
how
profit,
is it?
yeah. What's
It's 0.5.
That's huge.
That's huge. Sixes is close. Sixes is 0.05.
I screwed
Um,
up my holding resources. I haven't done one of these
I mean, I
raise
can
calls in a long
here.
time.
I'll just look. I'll just take a screenshot.
Yeah, sounds good. Put it
That
on the
way you
screen
have-
for everyone.
Yeah, capture. But before I do that, actually, hold on. I need to make sure I rerun it so that all the
Alright, so while you're doing that, we'll just skip through the next hands just to see what's going on. I'm gonna hurry this up a
actually
bit.
after I reran it, it's sevens. It's sevens, and sevens is 0.25. So sevens is still good because obviously 0.25 is still pretty solid.
Yes, that's solid.
All right,
Alright,
so I'm
cool.
gonna screenshot it. I'll do the whole thing. Here we go, save and share. Luckily, I had an eye out here so we could make sure we get them sevens in there. Here's the.
Yeah, it's always gonna be close, you know. It's
No,
it's never a great res call. It's always like
I wasn't
it's
trying to
either
play it,
just good or
there's-
it's just bad. It depends on
Right.
the button. But like you
But
said,
there's
even against a
the-
tight player, it should be marginal.
Yeah,
Oh,
but
so we got the
that's a tiny
here.
3-bet though.
what is this?
Maybe not though. Wait a
They're
minute.
bigger.
Actually, I think when I reran it, it reset the 3-bet ranges. Hold on. Against a good player, it's a call. Against a guy who's 3-betting, it's a call. Actually, I think I have to change these ranges again.
Okay.
Um,
Oh yeah, I think against a good player, I'd be much more likely to call.
let me.
You know how to
this
read
is-
that? You
this-
can't really read that. Jeez.
Yeah, it's still. I readjusted the range, and it's still actually sevens are better now that I adjusted the 3-bet range.
So we've got sevens.
Oh no,
Plus
yeah, no,
0.25.
it was right. It was right. The cutoff range was wrong. Yeah, sevens is solid. Sevens is 0.5.
Okay.
So it's 0.25 even if I let everyone adjust to your opening as well.
So
So
it's like sevens and ace jack
yeah, and crazy thing is sevens is much better to get in than ace jack.
and ace jack. Yeah. Fair enough. All right. So this is skipping forward now after that hand. Next kind of interesting hand. We're defending. Hero decides to defend Queen 6 suited against the cutoff 3x. I think this is too loose, in my opinion.
This is too loose.
Yeah.
This is too loose.
Especially in a 9-man where it's
Queen 8 suited.
you're getting
Queen
close
8
to
suited.
the bubble. Yeah.
And if we had Queen 8 suited, we'd have a pair right now.
Yeah.
Wait, did you fold that blind?
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't be folding, but I know some people probably would. So.
I think a limp stab here is probably the best option.
Yep,
with that
that's
stack
what I
size.
like doing here. 6-4. We'll fold the button with 6-4.
Nerds.
Somebody wrote nerds in the chat.
That's right. If you're on Twitch,
but
you're a
this is the
nerd.
kind of stuff that you have to do, though. Like, this is really when you study. I think that's one of the biggest questions I get in my stream is how do I study? And it's you save hands that you think are close while you're playing, and then before my session the next day, I normally save like 50 hands a session. And then I save those hands, and then when I wake up the next day, the first thing I do before I play is I study hands. So that way they're fresh in my brain, and I
what
run
you do
all
every
these
day.
spots, and I stand. Yeah, and that's the way to do it. That's how you really imprint this stuff into your brain.
So this hand's pretty interesting. We've got 10-8 suited under the gun. I don't mind this raise, but it does really depend on the opponents. Because this is a meta game decision. Because if they know you're opening this wide, they can exploit the hell out of
Yeah.
you. But if everyone's going to be tight and no one's playing back, this is a really good spot to raise with a
18
speculative
man,
hand.
this is an insta open, but in a 9-man, I don't know.
It just depends on the opponents, I think. If the table's letting you get away with this, I'd say go for it.
All
But if
means,
they're
yeah.
playing back at you, you know, I wouldn't do it.
This is
So
a defend.
against the min raise,
I'm really glad. Again, I'm still glad to see him defend here.
yeah,
Most people really have a problem with this concept.
you know, yeah, I think it's fine. It's suited 4-1.
Is this guy in the chat?
Yeah, This is
Who's this?
this is WangDang from WangDang.
WangDang. All right, man. Well, you got defending in the big blind down pat. I will give you that.
I don't know about the post flop. Let's see. So we flop a open ender, but it's a 3 flush board, and so I mean we're reverse floating here with
I just
6
love
high.
jam. To be honest.
Yeah, because the way to play
I
this
mean, look how
hand,
much is in the middle. You know, we're six-handed. There's some ICM going. There's I mean, almost every card in the world I don't want to see on the turn.
2 of your outs are even not good. The deuce of clubs and the 7 of clubs aren't good for you. So
I
if you kind of play this hand, you have to just check jam. I think there's a lot of
Yeah.
money out there. 870.
I mean, I don't think he's
His
going to
bet
get
looks
frisky
really
and
small
call
as
you
well.
here
I think you get a lot of folds against this sizing.
Yeah.
240, it just feels really weak.
Yeah, I like shoving here.
Pretty aggro, but I think it's fine. Now what do? You have 6 high, you missed.
Or
You have to bluff, I guess, to
yeah, but you're
represent,
bluffing right into his range.
and he's not going to believe you as well because the draw missed.
I
So
wouldn't.
I think
I
he's
would
snapping you here with a jack.
Sure.
So I would still go for it because the only way for me to win that juicy pot of 1K is to bet. I don't like the sizing though. 832,
How much is in the middle?
1100.
1100?
Yeah.
I mean, if I'm going for it, I'm going for it.
So you just pot.
I'm potting or more.
Mm.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'm taking the same line that I would take if I had a flush here,
Mm.
or if I had top 2 here, and
Yeah, I
that's
guess so.
getting. But I mean
832.
that now, granted, that may not be the best option though, because you don't really have to balance against players. But like,
Yeah, and it's low
if
stakes,
I've-
and these
if
guys
I-
don't fold those hands.
if I'm bluffing, I'm bluffing. Like, I'm not giving people the thought process of, well, I got a jack and it's 2/3 pot bet to me. I'm calling. Like, if you're calling, you're committing. So, and that may be debatable. But
All right, so here's another interesting hand. We have ace jack against the min raise from the hijack with he's got like 2200. Big blind's got 28. So we've got everyone covered here.
I mean,
You
big
can't
blinds
just
we have
rip it
what-
in. The big blind has 2800. We
What
have
do we have?
31. So we have him covered by like 2 big blinds. We have 20.
I don't. Mm.
It's awkward.
This
It's
guy's on a
awkward.
tight range. I don't think we can shove.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
If he's
I
opening
think-
like 15% here, I'm just flatting.
Yeah, I like the flat.
Because here's the thing: if I flat here and someone squeezes and he folds, I can
You
insta
can
call.
call, yeah, that's
Right.
right. And you don't
I like
mind
it
playing
better
in
when you do
position as
stuff
well.
like that on the button, but the cutoff is close enough, I guess.
Yeah. So the cutoff
And then-
c-bets into 2 people. We have the redraw to the nut flush, but the c-bet here is really strong, I think. I think the
How
c-bet's
much
really
bet?
strong. It's 580. It's like half pot exactly.
Oh God.
He's only got 1300 behind. I think that I would just fold, especially with the big blind behind us, who can check shovel in with like a 10 or a
So
flush draw.
painful. I mean, I don't think we can fold, man. I mean, we got 2 overs, the backdoor flush, the backdoor straight.
I
Like-
think what's gonna happen is you call the 580, the big blind check rips it with any draw, any pair, and like you just have to fold, and then you just put in 580 for no reason.
Gross.
Or like you call a 580, the big blind folds, and the turn blanks, and this guy rips it in for the 1300, and you end up folding. Like
I'm
with his
not
ace,
going
ace
to
queen high, ace king high. I just don't think he's gonna bet
So
3-way
painful.
with air. He's got something here.
It's
And I'm
so
still
painful.
also worried about the big blind having a piece that he's gonna check shovel in with.
God, it hurts my soul to fold.
How are you gonna win this by calling? Like the only way to win is if the big blind somehow has nothing and folds, and this
Look, with
Icaro
those
also
odds, all I
just
have
gives up
to
on
do
the.
is see a spade, one of my draws, or a jack or an ace, and then I just get it anyway. And I got the right price.
Yeah, but okay. Here's another argument. Here's another
I
argument
fully
for
understand
folding.
What you're saying. I believe what you're saying. Don't get me
Yeah.
wrong. It's just painful in my soul. That's
Yeah.
all I'm saying.
And another argument I think for folding is right now you got 2800. You're at a really, really good spot in this
Right.
game. If you call now and speculate, and then you do hit that spade, and you feel like you're committed, you're gonna be a short stack if you lose that hand.
Sure. I
Yeah,
agree. Yeah, I
if you
agree with
win it,
everything.
you'll be
It
a
just
huge chip leader, which is really nice. But I think the difference between you being this stack here, 2800, and being like 45 at this blind level shouldn't be that much. Obviously, you're going to gain some equity, but I think the difference between you losing this hand and going down to like two big blinds and basically busting the tournament, when right now you're in a really good position, I just don't think it's worth it.
yeah.
Especially when this guy, in my opinion, just has a strong
I
range.
hope he calls just so I can see what happens. Oh,
Well, Ikara
I
had
wanted
nothing
one of
but
us to be a gambler.
like this is another reason. Like you
I
need,
agree. I agree with everything
yeah,
you
like
said, man. It just
in order to call here, you need both of those scenarios to be true, where the big blind has nothing and he just check folds, and Ikara also has nothing. But at least one, like sometimes one of them is going to check shove, or Ikara is going to have aces and just get it in. It's just so unlikely.
ugh, the odds gods are rolling in their
Four
graves.
eight. Okay, so he's got one big blind, or one and a half big blinds.
I don't hate it.
Yeah, I think the call's fine.
Wait, did he rate? Wait, did he rate? Oh, he called. I thought he
Uh,
shoved.
you can raise here, I think. Yeah, of course
We're
you
too
can
deep to
raise.
shove, though, right?
Yeah, I think you
Really
are a
can't
bit
see
too
the
deep to
stack
shove. It's
sizes
just
at
too much
all. I don't
risk.
know.
Yeah, it's 2500. The blind's 160, so it's like 25 big blinds.
I'm okay
Oh,
with
sorry, no,
flatting.
15 big
I like
blinds.
flatting. I think I
Yeah, I
would
like
flat before I
flatting,
would raise.
especially on a weak
Queen ten suited,
table.
that's great in a multi-way pot. And I'm in position.
Yeah. Um,
How can I be? How can I be
kind of
missing
want to
about it?
bet this, even though there's no side pot with the
Oh, I'm
queen eye
betting
flush draw. Yeah.
for sure. Better.
Because then, if this guy check calls with a five, you can bet small and just shove the turn. So you can
Right,
bet,
and then I pick up. Then I can manufacture a
you
side
can, yeah,
pot.
exactly. You can create a side pot. That's right. So you bet like 300 or 400. The pot will be 1800, and you'll have 1800 left. So 400 is a
Right.
perfect size. Then
Yep.
the full pot will be 1800, but the side pot will be 800. You can just shove turn with anything, any turn card, and hopefully the guy folds like a five. He doesn't have a jack. If he does have a jack, you can still hit the diamond or the queen. Yeah. Huh. Alright, so you split with the short stack. It's fine. Ace 3,
Right.
king 7.
It's three.
So you have to call here, the min raise against the
I
short
do.
stack. Um,
Oh wait, he's got less than 10 big blinds.
yeah.
Oh, then I flat. Okay, if he's got
Yeah,
over 10 big blinds, I shove.
yeah, I agree. Yeah, over 10 you can jam. Less than 10 you just call. But you don't have to shove for over 10. You can also just call if for
You
some
you
reason you
can.
think he
It
might
depends
be
on how your
trapping.
ranges are balanced. Like
Yeah,
I defend 9-10 suited and Jack-10 suited as a flat, but I shove 8-7 suited, 7-6 suited, and 9-8 suited. 9-8 suited is the best suited connector that I still shove.
yeah. Like
Any better than
I'm
that,
never that
I just
static. I don't know, man. I'm never that static. I'm always like I can shove or flat anything. It just depends on the opponent and like game flow more than anything. Because
yeah.
game flow wise, let's say this guy's min raising every small blind with 12 big blinds. I'm gonna shove all in with anything I play. But if
Right.
he's been limping every single hand and then all of a sudden he min raises with 10 big blinds, I'm not gonna jam like 8 9 suited as a bluff because it's his first min raise the whole
Sure.
tournament. He's probably trapping
Sure.
or playing weirdly. So it just depends. I never play off like a chart or a rule set. I always just have a range and you
Well, I
know
mean, I'm not jamming against
merge.
somebody that's opening, that has a PFR of 5 here. Like it's. But in most people that fall into a certain window, if they're in that window, then
Yeah,
these are the lines that I take.
exactly. So this hand, it's similar to that um, other hand where we reviewed a while ago, where we had like top pair, top kicker, and just no, it was the queen jack suited where we check shoved all in with top pair. Like we're not really scared of any turn card here, so I just call,
Right.
let him spew off,
Sure.
rather than rejamming here.
Yeah. I like it.
Yeah, so I would just call. All right, close to the bubble, five-handed. So against regs, definitely a shove this spot.
Wait, what
Or
do we got on the button?
ace nine suited.
No. The stack size.
Oh, it's 3,000. The big blind has 3,100, so it's like 16 big
Oh,
blinds.
shove. Insta
Yeah.
shove.
Um, you can raise call this against some really hyper aggro big blinds.
Ugh,
I know
Man.
you can.
Five-handed.
Well,
Oof.
the thing about raise
I
calling,
think you
right?
might be playing with fire.
No, the thing about raise, listen to this, right? He's never folding ace 10 no matter what. So the only way for you to get max value out of the big blind is by raise calling this hand. Because you want him to get it in with ace 2, and ace 3, and
But I
ace 4, and
don't
ace
want it to
5.
flat ever. I want to collect free
Why
chips.
not? You have ace 9 in position. Like, who cares if he
Because
flats, dude?
because if you look at what's the other big stack here?
Yeah, like 28. 28.
Right. So
100.
when we win this pot, when we scrape this pot, we become the definitive chip leader.
Yeah, yeah.
The overwhelming majority of the time. Like, and even so okay, so we shove here. Big blind calls with what range? Like
Really
8%?
tight, like ace 8 probably.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
like
So
10%,
he calls with,
yeah.
we'll say 8%, 10%. So 10% of the time he calls, 90% of the time we take the chip lead right off the bat and start abusing. Of the 10% that he calls, about 3 to 4% of the time we're gonna win, and then we're gonna be the massive chip leader, and then the other
Well,
times
you have
we're
more than
out.
3%
So we're
equity
only
against his
out.
call range. Like, you're the
What's
massive
that?
chip leader like 25% of the time when he calls.
Right. So
Yeah,
I mean,
no, I see what you're saying.
of-
No, I see.
like 96% of the time we come out of this scenario amazing, and when we raise here and he flats, we're definitely not coming out as happy as we want to be
Well,
96%
yeah.
of the time. Like free
Maybe,
chips,
maybe.
they're really close to the bubble, are just unbelievable.
Yeah, yeah.
I really
You
just
and I
like
just
jamming
we
stuff like
definitely
this.
play differently. We definitely play
Yeah, no, I
differently.
agree. I agree.
'Cause I
I
would
building up
argue
easy
that
stack until I get to the bubble and then just unleashing.
yeah, like I would open rip against anyone that plays post flop well or is going to reshove pre-flop well, because you just want to take maximum EV. Like right
But
now.
I don't need him
I
to play
agree.
post flop well if he flats a hand like 9-10. Even if he had or 9-10, I mean we got ace 9, but I mean pick any
Yeah,
suited
yeah, any
connector,
two.
anything. If he just plays on the flop, that's still too much for me. If he just plays when he hits something, that's still too much for me. As opposed to me just taking
Yeah,
free
I
chips
see what you're
and
saying.
going
'Cause,
on a
like,
rampage.
you're saying losing two big blinds 1/3 of the time when he hits a pair, is not as valuable as just 90%
With
of the
our
time.
comparison of like where we are
Yeah, yeah,
in the tournament and how close to being the outright chip leader we are.
yeah, yeah. No, I can see that argument. That makes
Is
sense
that
to me.
tens? Oh,
No, it's
10-9.
10-9.
Huh. So what's our
Uh,
stack here?
It's
5K?
5,100. Everyone else has. This guy's got 2,800. He has 27, 23. Like, I'd think about raising
Uh,
this on a tight table.
I mean, on a reg table, I'm shoving.
Really?
On a reg table, yeah, absolutely. I mean, you should be able to shove quite wide here against regs only.
Yeah.
Because
No, that
they
makes
have to be
sense. Yeah, no,
folding
that,
a
that
lot.
yeah, yeah. I can see that. I can see
We're on
that.
the
Yeah.
bubble here.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And they're all close to each other. They can't just snap you off.
No, you're right. On a reg, it is plus
against-
EV to just jam this.
And so against random, so like I have to think about how I need to adjust my range here. And in order to adjust your range here, first you have to know what's straight Nash. Like if everyone's playing perfectly, what can I do? And the answer is shove. So once we've established how wide I can shove, and the answer is, I mean, I would say,
It's like
I would
40%,
say
I'd
like,
say.
I mean, I think you could probably get away with like 50.
Yeah, you probably could.
And so,
But
all
with
right,
some
so
of those
but
hands,
but
it's got to
in a
be better
table
to just
full of
min raise.
world-class players, table full of world-class players,
Yeah.
we shove 50%. Okay.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Um, but as it comes down, and this is where like you really have to run a lot of these spots. The way that I run these spots is I put the spot in hold'em resources, and then I give some people what I call the never folders. So basically, like any situation that ever requires someone to fold ace king, nines, ace queen suited, I just give it to them. Doesn't matter who they are, even if they're a reg. I just assume a reg is going to make a mistake. So even regs have problems folding like ace king in spots where they're not supposed to.
Yeah.
Or like they call when they're not supposed to. So I give somebody the credit for those hands all the time, and then I look at how much my range adjusts. And so now I have two ranges. I have my nit range and I have my world class range. And so when you start looking at, well, how many regs do I have on the table and what position they're in? So if two of the four guys are regs, I know I'm somewhere in the middle. And I know it depends on whether they're in the big blind or whether they're on a button or so on and so forth. But I think if we ran this hand, we could be quite wide. And now I don't think we can shove wide on randoms, but
No,
I do
but you
think we
should be
can
able to
min
min
raise.
raise pretty wide
I
on
do think we can
randoms.
min raise here. I don't think we're getting 3-bet enough. I would definitely min raise this
Yeah,
if I'm
yeah.
not shoving.
That sounds like a really good way of looking at it, and I agree with that. I like it. Yep. So
Instagram
playing the 7-4.
82.
Yep.
I mean, did he raise though?
Yeah, he just raised. Like, of
No.
course you can
Uh,
jam, but here's where you and I really do think about sit and goes differently. Like, yes, this is plus EV to just jam any two, but I think it's much, much more plus EV to like limp stab or raise or against bad
right.
players. You
Do you
know?
know how wide he has to be calling here to make this a bad shove?
Yeah, like 20% or
He has to be
something.
calling a range that is not even in his realm of thought.
Yeah, I know, but
Because as a standard, if you were playing against a reg here, this would be like a
of course you
point
just shove
one,
any two.
like it would be like a 1% shove or something.
Yeah.
And I understand what you're saying, but again, anytime I raise here, I am in the dominant position. Anytime I raise here, I give him the
Yeah.
opportunity to take chips away from me that are very critical for me at this
Mm.
moment. Whereas when I shove, I don't get called very often. When I do get called, I've got 7-4 suited. Like I'm not terrible against his range, even if he's calling too wide. If he's calling too tight, it's just massively okay.
Yeah.
If he's calling too wide, I'm not terrible against that range with a suited gapper. Um, I really hate giving anybody the opportunity to do anything other than just give me their blind.
Yeah.
Um,
No,
and, and I'm
I
not
see
saying
that.
I don't adjust, but I mean I was playing the $1.50 18-mans the same way. If it was so plus EV that they couldn't, even bad players calling too wide couldn't call wide enough, I just
You just
can't see
rip
him
it in,
doing
yeah.
anything else other than shoving. And maybe that's a leak. I'm not saying it isn't. I'm not saying that I'm
Um,
not missing out. I'm just saying that I get a lot of big stacks, and this is how I keep them
yeah,
because I
yeah.
don't give anybody. Because think about it, what's he doing there with sixes?
Well, he's snapping because he's a fish.
Not not necessarily. When I
Yeah, I mean,
jam,
any like random player is
he's
never
for
folding
sure
sixes
shoving
here.
sixes if I raise.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. But if you jam it all
He's
in, he's not
maybe
folding them either, I
calling.
don't think.
Okay, all right. Well, then let's go lower. What's he doing with fours?
Yeah, yeah, I see what you mean.
Or what's he
But
doing with King Jack suited?
it's so
When I
hard to
raise,
analyze
those
this though
hands
because
never fold.
yeah, like there's so many different scenarios where you can like gain even if he calls, you just see bet because he misses and you win 2/3 of the time more. And yeah, of course you're gonna win
But fish don't
guaranteed this
fold flop
200.
in position. That's a problem, though.
Yeah,
Fish just station.
you want to
And when
play
people
pots
station,
against bad
it's bad.
players. Yeah, yeah, it does depend on the opponent. Against the station, I wouldn't be, raising, of course. Um,
But now
but
we're saying, well, is he a random? Is he a random
yeah,
station? Is it like as opposed to taking a massively plus EV shove? Do you see it? Like it's. I'm not saying that in some realm there's a way to make it to where a min raise is more profitable, but I think a lot of regs nowadays lose so much EV because they try to min raise too much, and it only takes one guy on the table doing something close to correct to fuck up your whole strategy.
mm,
If one guy is doing something you don't that's not good for you, you shouldn't be min raising at all.
yeah,
Um, and when, like I said, when I raised King Jack suited here, or when I raise and he's got King Jack suited is never folding here. He's either flatting or he's shoving. But when I shove, there's definitely a possibility that he folds
oh
King
yeah,
Jack
he
suited.
just folds that, yeah, for sure. No,
Right.
that's
So like
true.
I don't like giving hands that are just gonna dump when I shove a chance to beat me.
That makes sense.
It's on the bubble. On the bubble. Again, if we weren't talking about on the bubble and we weren't talking about me being the chip leader, no problem.
Yeah. Alright, so
Um,
this one's definitely an open against two guys who are there's the short stack's in the cutoff, so you just raise
oh,
here.
then I'm shoving. Short stacks
You,
and cutoff, I'm shoving.
yeah, you can just jam. Okay, that's fine.
I mean,
See,
I would say that you could jam like almost 70% here. So
you can
8-10
jam any
is even.
two, like do whatever you want.
Wait,
I
is
would
that
prefer to
8-10?
raise because I don't think these guys are gonna mess around.
Sure, but I
Um,
would raise. Here's the thing: when I'm adjusting to bad players, I'm still shoving my bad player range, which is
mm,
going to be like 40, 50%. And then I'm min raising on the
The
outside of my
really,
shoving.
really trash hands, yeah. Okay.
Right, because they're still going to be profitable, but I'm not passing up plus EV shoves when they could defend. If
Yeah.
they're going to defend when I have a trash hand, well, guess what? It wasn't a shove anyway, so like
Yeah, yeah.
now
So
I
it doesn't
get a chance
matter.
to win. Right, but something that like is in my adjusted four fish range, shoving range, I'm letting it rip, and I think 810 on the button there is.
Is a shove
510
rather
is
than a
not.
raise.
510 would be a raise.
A
What is
raise,
this?
yeah. Okay, that makes sense. I like that adjustment. I mean, here's a spot where, okay, the chip leader short stack, we have 4-7, we're getting 5-1. I feel like it's worth 300 to just see a flop
What's our
here.
stack size here?
It's 5,000 including the blind, so 4,700 behind. We cover
And
both
the
players.
small blind is short.
Yeah.
No, I don't get involved purely for the fact that I want the short stack to win.
Okay, fair enough, fair enough.
I want the short stack to win, and I will continue to crush people.
Yeah,
I will fold to a two big blind shove from the short stack.
yeah. You can,
If
yeah,
I
I
had
see that. That makes sense. Okay, so
suited
wow,
king has
huge
to be
mistake here, like huge plus
yeah.
EV
This
shove.
is in like a
This is
30%
any
shove.
two. This is any
Yeah.
two.
Yeah, this is but what I'm saying is like this particular hand is in like a 30% shove range here.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, here you shove any
like
two
suited
cards,
kings are
even
so
against
powerful.
regulars,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, against regs it's better because regs are going to
because
follow
they know how to
ICM.
fold. Yeah. But
Right.
I'm
I mean,
pretty sure this is
I've
any two
never
cards
folded.
in Nash. Like, I'm pretty sure it's any two
Yeah,
cards in
it's
Nash.
not even. It definitely is. Definitely
Yeah.
is.
And so is this one. Like, this is any two cards as well.
I can't tell because I can't see
It's
the big blind.
cutoff. Like the big blind's got 10 big blinds, 11 big blinds. The small blind has 10, and the button has 5.
Oh yeah.
So this is any two cards as
Yeah.
well.
It's just shove.
Yeah. We fold that.
Ike Haxton actually sounds like a man. I don't think I've ever heard Ike Haxton speak.
Okay.
He's a pretty dashing looking guy though, so if I can make some kind of correlation to me sounding like him,
He's
it's
pretty smart
some
guy
kind
too.
of compliment. Yeah.
Alright, so this
Um,
Jack 5 very similar to the last button hand. You just shove any two
Just-
because everyone's
shove.
equal. We have 5,000. All the other guys have 2,500. So you just shove any two every hand.
and this is and to get to spots like this is why I take the shoves that we were talking about
Yeah,
earlier.
yeah.
because
This is the
It
dream.
only takes me getting a few of them, and then the blinds go up, and then bam. I mean, it's
This
such
is
a great.
this is any
position.
two, 9/8s, any two. Like for 10 big blinds, actually maybe this isn't any two, but it's like 70% at least in the cutoff. Because now there's three
Uh,
equal stacks, right? And
Yeah,
Would
but
you
the
shove any
problem
two
is,
here?
and here's the thing, I would shove probably any two here, and here's
Yeah.
the reason why. The same reason that if you look at like a six max hyper bubble, right, and you're the big stack on the button, and both the small blind and the big blind have like 4 or 5 big blinds. Nash will not tell you to shove 100%, but I shove 100% because these guys are going to they're going to do the same thing that everyone does. When you're in this position and a guy shoves here, do you know exactly what to call in the small blind?
I used to.
I
In
mean,
the small blind, yeah.
exactly. If
Yeah,
it's-
seriously, I used to. I used to know like
if
every
it's
range,
close,
pretty much
if it's
100%.
close, and you're not sure, what do you do?
Oh, you just fold.
Right. That's
Yeah, so
what
you're on the
everyone
tight
at
side.
the table is thinking. So they're
Yeah.
already on the tight side, and even in their thought process is probably not. They probably should actually call wider here than even they think, and they're already going to be on the tight side because they're having the same mentality. When everyone is even stacks, it gets a lot harder to know
yeah.
what you're supposed to call.
They play
and
on
when
the
you
tight
don't know
side.
what you're supposed to call, you just fold.
Yeah.
You just say, "Oh, I don't know if I'm supposed to blah, fold." That's what you
Yeah.
do. And that right
Wow.
there is enough edge for me to go from 70, 80% to 100.
Yeah. So like this one here's any two. So basically in this stack setup, guys, you jam any two every single hand. So
Guys, this is
any
where you
two.
want to be. This is what you set yourself up for the whole tournament for.
Yeah, this is the
Is
sit and go
meant
dream.
to be in this position right
Yeah.
here.
This is any two, or actually the big blind's a short stack. So I mean, with him
8-9 suited is power though.
Oh yeah, 8-9
8
suited of course.
suited
But I'm
power.
thinking, do you shove
Yeah.
deuce three off here when the big blind's
No,
the shorty?
no, absolutely not.
No.
No, because
you shove like
I
60%, and also you want him to stay alive. You want the stacks to like normalize a little bit.
right.
So
I
I mean
I'm
like
not shoving.
60% here because the big blind is the shorty. But if the shorty was in the small blind, you shove any two.
Yeah, if those stacks are reversed, it's not even a question.
Yeah. Okay.
Now you can min raise.
Yeah.
Now you can min raise.
With queens.
Because this is look, like go back real quick. This is the kind of situation that you set yourself up for. This is why I say like when I have my shoving range for randoms, I always shove that range and then I min raise the bottom end because I min raise the top end of it. So I'm taking like if I say I'm my adjusted shove range would be 60% here instead of 100. For some reason I've got some maniacs behind me and I don't feel like I can shove any two.
Yeah.
Um,
So bottom 40 is a min raise.
I shove the 60.
And, yeah.
Right. Well, I mean, I don't even think you have to do 100. Like you min raise your top 3% here, your top 2%, and your bottom 10.
Yeah.
You know, or your bottom 15 or whatever. 15 is probably even enough weighted wise that it works out okay. But the ones that are shoves, I take just so I can min raise the non-profitable ones and balance it with my nuts.
Yeah. Right, so we're not the chip leader anymore because, I like that fold too with the 6-10 to
Yeah, no reason you should ever get involved with this. You want him to win. You want this guy to win.
So now we're not the huge chip leader anymore. The small blind has
but we're straight. We're still good enough.
Yeah.
We can't abuse like crazy, but
not
we're
when
in
the other
position.
big stacks
Right.
in position.
Because the thing is, he's not going to utilize his weapon.
No.
He's not
so now
gonna,
look, stacks are
he's
much
gonna give
better
us
now.
back. Right.
Now you just
Bam.
shove any.
Now we take it again.
Again, not any two because the short stacks in the big blind, but you shove here 60% at least. Like any two suited cards is fine.
And here's
wow, what a huge mistake by that guy.
Yeah, that's really bad. That's really bad.
Yeah. That's like
and here's why I was talking about
Jack's
before,
plus.
like when we were in the 180, about contesting for the chip lead. If you're that second guy and the chip leader is not doing anything about it, not doing what we're doing or should be doing, which is shoving a lot, you need to take control. Because you see that he took control for 1 second and then didn't make one or two shoves that he was supposed to make, and boom, we were back in the chip lead.
Yeah, yeah.
You got it. Once you get it, you got to
When the blinds are this high as well.
Yeah, when you get the chip lead, you got to put your foot on the gas and go. Because if you don't, you're going to give it right back, and then you're going to have to just sit there and fold your way down to someone who actually knows how to abuse the bubble.
In the money, I think this is a shove. On the button with equal stacks, we're in the money now. The small blind has the short stack 3,200. Big blind has 36. We have 6,500. So I think this is like a 55-60% spot. What do you think?
I haven't played 9-mins in forever, so I can't say 100%. If you say it's
I think it's close. I also haven't studied them that in depth, but I feel like that's close. And like you were saying earlier, people tend to be tighter when stacks are equal. So I'd rather be looser there than too tight myself.
Right, I agree. So all right, so heads up. I would say that of all the guys that I pick up, the only area that I find that everyone is bad is heads up. And it took me actually doing lots of heads up coaching before I understood how bad everyone else is at heads up.
Yeah.
So the first thing that I'm going to tell you when you're heads up is you do not fold a hand.
Yeah.
I mean nothing. You don't fold 7-2, you don't fold 2-3, you don't fold a single hand. Because every single hand that you play versus a player who's not a heads-up player, I don't fold a hand versus regs in 18-mans. If they're not a heads-up player specifically, and you have any idea how to play heads-up, you do not fold a hand. The number two thing is, when you get below 12 big blinds, you do not min-raise a hand.
Oh, yeah,
you play a limp strategy, and you stab, and you limp stab, and you limp stab, and you limp stab. And if you're going to do that, you limp trap.
Yeah.
9-10 suited for 12 big blinds is a limp call. That instantly blows people's minds. 9-10 suited for 12 big blinds is a limp call a shove, and it's not even close. You're doing so well versus their jam range because so many people are jamming like King 3 and like 7-6 suited and all these kind of things when you limp, especially if you've shown that you're going to limp a lot. 9-10 suited, you can actually limp call a shove for 25 big blinds. That's how good it is heads up
Wow, I
versus a
didn't know
jam.
that.
Yeah, absurd. At 10 big blinds, I can limp call 9-8 suited all day long. So you're limp calling 9-10 suited, Jack 10 suited, Queen 9 suited, King 8 suited, Ace 8 suited, sixes plus, five, even fives plus. The reason why you're limping all these hands is because they all have more value played post flop than just a jam.
Yeah.
Jack 10 suited, you're not limping so that you can go, woohoo, I limp called a shove. You're limping so that you can play at post flop, and you having to call the shove is just a byproduct.
Yeah.
It's just a
It's like
it's
you're
just
committed to it.
secondary. Right. But it's not bad. I mean, I'm not
Yeah,
upset
yeah.
when I have to, but it's mainly because so you can limp stab all the time. And if you're not limp calling sixes and king nine suited and all these things, and you're still trying to play every hand, you can't do it because then you're limping too much garbage. And of course, you're always limping aces, kings, queens, jacks,
Mm.
tens, like all these value hands. They're all just limps. Under 12 big blinds, don't min raise. Just limp every single hand and just
Yeah.
know what you can call when they shove, and
Fair
stab
enough.
almost every single flop.
So you
And
never
you
have
will
a you
just
never have an open rip range. Like you don't have an
you,
open jam
you
range.
you can have an open jam. I'm not saying you don't open jam. There are some hands that you definitely open jam.
Yeah.
Hands like 7-6 suited are open jams.
Mm.
Hands like
Like king
queen
two off,
queen
right? You don't
five
want to
suited.
limp call king two off.
Yeah, king two off for like like nine or so.
Nine, yeah,
That
exactly.
stuff that just doesn't play. But if it's, I mean, you're limp calling all these good post flop hands, these suited connectors and stuff. You're just straight shoving your weaker stuff like your offsuit king X and
The
even some
five
of your suited
highs and
kings.
yeah.
Yeah, and like 5-4 suited and stuff like that. Like you still have a jam range, but your jam range is not going to be that much. And especially if people, let me tell you, if people are calling you with a Nash chart when you're shoving that range,
They're
they're
making
making
a
a
mistake. Yeah.
huge mistake.
Yeah.
And I would say the biggest thing that I've ever heard is that people always say that when you limp, they say to themselves, "Oh, well, if I would have called a jam and he limped, well, then I can jam." And that's how you get all this shit like people jamming king three when you limp for 10 big blinds. Oh, well, if he
Mm.
would have shoved, I would have called. So obviously, if he limps, I can shove. No, that's terrible. That's brutal, brutal, brutal. And anyone who's playing a correct strategy will mutilate you if you're jamming king three for 10 big blinds. You should be checking back. If you're in the big blind and someone's limping a lot, you should be checking back a lot. They're giving you your equity. They're letting you see your equity. If you're taking hands like king 10, queen 10, queen jack, jack 10 suited, 9-10 suited, and someone limps and you shove those, that's brutal. Because
Yeah,
what's
yeah.
happening? I'm calling you with better hands and I'm folding all my bluffs.
Yeah.
Nothing you
That
ever want to happen.
It makes sense, man.
All
I'm
those
actually
hands.
learning a lot from this because my heads up's always been the weakest part of my game, and I've learned to limp a lot more with the 12 to 8 big blinds, but like the limp calling the 10-9
You can limp to
and
six.
not jamming like king 3 for against the limper with 10 big blinds. That's stuff that I wouldn't have done if I hadn't talked to you today. So that's
You
cool.
can
I
limp
think
to
I've
six. You
yeah
can limp
yeah.
to six. It
Oh
used to be
yeah, of
eight.
course.
The thought process used to be that once you got below eight, you couldn't really generate any more EV
Hmm.
than just playing Nash. But heads up guys have now decided that that's now six.
It's 6. Okay, cool.
You can't limp your whole range at six. From 8 to 6, you need to go from about playing every hand to about 80-70%. But just if you just play every hand versus any guy that's not a heads up player, you will instantly make more.
Yeah.
Instantly. Guaranteed.
Yeah.
And limp trap everything. There you go.
Cool.
All right, so let's
Well,
see.
I have
Let's
to have
actually see.
Yeah, this is the only
It-
really interesting hand. The rest was kind of standard stuff, but we limp with 5-6. The old limp strategy looks good to me. Somehow we bet bottom pair, we get check raise, and we just get it in with bottom pair and a draw.
Yeah.
I would prefer to check back here rather than c bet and
I
try and
would
bluff
agree.
catch.
I would check back here
Yeah.
for sure.
So I do
When
think
when you're trying to decide what hands you should limp stab, you have to think about what boards you rep and what boards you don't rep and what boards he reps. And I know when I say, oh, think about what he's repping and what he thinks about you, I know a lot of people say, oh, well, fish aren't thinking about that. What I mean is, if you limp pre and he checks and the board comes 2-4-7,
That's his
you're not
avenue.
you're not stabbing that because
Yeah.
his range, his check back range is full of garbage.
Yeah.
It's full of 7s and 4s and 2s. So you're not getting folds on those boards. When you limp and the board comes out King Jack 8, you're stabbing 100% of your range because he doesn't have very many kings because he would have shoved them.
All the
You have
doorways.
tons of kings because you're limp trapping everything. You have tons of jacks because you're limp trapping everything. So these are the boards that when you stab, you're going to get folds on an absurd amount of time. And obviously, any ace X board. When you limp with 5-2 and he checks and the board comes out ace 8-7, that is your pot. That is your
for sure.
pot.
Yeah.
Because he never has an ace, never in a million years. And if he does something stupid like leads out, I float any 2. I
Oh,
float
yeah, of
any 2
course.
and wait for him to shut down. If he check raises me on an ace high board when I limped pre,
Rip it
I
in.
float any 2. or rip it or do something.
Yeah.
I'm not folding because I'm not allowing you to act like this is your pot.
Yeah.
I limped, you checked, ace high board, my pot, end of story.
Yeah, exactly.
And every now and then he has some stupid 2 pair or something, but like 99% of the time he just bets,
folds.
leads out, or raises, and then just gives up. And then I bet and I take the pot, and that's the end of it.
Yeah. All right, dude. Well, I think we're good. Thanks for that. I gotta go. So, dude, I want to do some more of this because this was fun, and I feel like I can still learn things from you. So hopefully we can
I
do it
I
again
love doing
sometime.
reviews, man. I love doing reviews.
Yeah,
It's
we went
why-
for much
it's why I
longer than I
started to
thought. I was
understand-
supposed to finish
like-
stream like 50 minutes ago, so I gotta get.
I do. I know.
Gotta get going.
My is set right now.
Alright, guys. So if you don't know who that was, it's SandmanNess. It's twitch.tv/SandmanNess. Give him a follow. Check him out. Thanks for coming on, dude. I guess I'll talk to you later.
Yeah, absolutely.